Hey, YouTube, what's going on tonight? My name is Brian Morrison. I'm a software engineer based out of Chicago, Illinois. And tonight I'm doing something a little bit different. Did one of these streams before the holiday season where I detailed how I built a project management system in Notion. Today we're going to be going over how I built my own personal knowledge base in Notion. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with just a basic intro to Notion, probably take 5 minutes or so, and then we're just going to kind of dive right in, creating necessary databases, creating some views, linking everything up together, and overall just making a system to store information in a very structured way in Notion. So without that, I don't have a whole lot more to say. If you're interested in communicating with me directly when I'm off stream, fullstack.chat is the URL you want to go to. It's a link to my Discord server, so go ahead and hop in there and come hang out with a bunch of other developers. We also have a couple non-devs in there who, just kind of come and hang out. So hope to see you. And let's go ahead and, I guess, hop right into it. What's up, Brad? Thanks for joining tonight. I appreciate it. Come on. There we go. All right. So, let's go through it. I actually didn't get a chance to really throw an outline together until about 20 minutes ago, so hopefully this goes smooth, but it should be. It's actually not that bad. Creating my system's not terrible. So quick overview of Notion if you've never used it before. Notion's kind of like a workspace management system. You can just basically dump information in here. You can create checklists, you can create different pages, you can create subpages, you can link pages together. There's a whole lot of cool stuff you can do with that. So if you're new to Notion, if you've never signed up, this is actually the page you get to when you first sign up. And it's got a couple of different kind of examples on the left-hand side here. The general layout of Notion is on the left-hand side, you have your navigation, which is where you would navigate and drill down into your various pages and databases and whatnot. And then a right-hand pane is where all the content, the main content, is stored. You can also minimize your sidebar like that, and if you want to get a better view of your page, if you drop down on the upper right hand corner, there's a couple of options up here with how you can customize your page. That's just a couple different options to explore there. If you scroll through some of these different quick templates, you can see that they've made just, I guess, different examples on how you can utilize the system. So you can see inside of the quick note here, we've got some to-do lists, we've got sub pages that you can click in and navigate to. If I drop down the left-hand side navigation, you can even see your sub pages and everything is also going to be displayed in a nice tree hierarchical view there. So that's pretty cool. Let's see here. If we click through a couple other ones, you can also create Kanban boards within Notion. So if you're familiar with Trello or a system similar to that, a lot of those concepts would come over here and apply here. But one of the very neat things about databases is this is a database view, is you can customize the different various fields that are on the actual pages themselves, the sub pages. So like this take fig for a walk here, this is considered a sub page. And if I select this, you can see there's a couple of properties up on top here that you can use to customize what fields you want in your database. So a lot of cool stuff you can do there. And you have to forgive me if I sound a little nasally. I actually had a sneezing attack before the stream, so that always sets up for a nice, interesting sounding voice. But that's kind of like my general Notion overview. Before we even get started, I'm actually going to just delete all this stuff here. So you can delete these by selecting the three dots that are next to the page, and then just selecting delete. And we'll do these for each one of these because we're going to basically gives ourselves a clean slate to start off with. Now, when I'm designing a system in Notion, and you can see this, it's actually everything you delete goes in the trash, which is pretty nice. So if you need to recover things, that's a quick way that you can do that. So when I'm designing systems in Notion, first off, understanding my standpoint and where I come from, since I am a software developer, I kind of have the mindset of how to build applications and whatnot because I've been doing it for so long. But one of the things I highly encourage is to think of your system in two separate parts. One being the actual data, which in Notion's actually called the database, is where you store all the data. And another one being a view. So you have two separate, types of entities, types of pages you're going to work with. You have your database, and then you have your view. Database is where the data is going to be stored. View is how you want to kind of slice and dice and view your data in different cool ways. Brett says 40 minimum, 40 sneezes minimum. Yeah, that's probably sounds about right. I don't know. It's one of those things that it happens every once in a while, and it just so happened to be bad timing. But dealing with the cards we got. All right. So anyway. In my main Notion setup, I actually have one page I actually use called Backend. And what my Backend page is used to do is to store databases only. I don't do anything. I don't store anything inside of Backend. The only exception to that rule is if I'm creating dashboards, I will have one page that holds a series of dashboards that I can favorite and kind of pop up to the top of my list on the left-hand side. And I'll kind of demonstrate how that works in a moment here. Okay, so let's see. With our Backend page, you can see there's a couple of options we have down below here. We're actually just going to start with an empty one because we don't want any data or content on this page yet. If you're inside of Notion and you want to access some of the more advanced features, use the / command, and then you can see there's these different kind of building blocks you can use to build out your page. And there's a bunch of basic ones: text, you can create subpages, to-do lists, various headings, lists, etc. But if we keep scrolling down a little bit more, we get to the database section of the blocks, and this is where some of the more powerful things are located. So let's see here. If I scroll down, the one I'm actually looking for is this table full page. What this is going to do is it's going to create a page inside of Notion on our Backend page, and the contents of that page it creates is only going to be data. There's nothing else you can add to it. So it's not as flexible as a page like this, but we don't need it to be. We really just want it to be storing data in a structure. Excuse me one sec. Something kind of fell and I don't know what happened. I'll be right back. I realized I was probably muted. Somebody actually dropped someone put one of these bottles here a little too close to the edge of our staircase, and it fell down the stairs and hit the floor pretty damn hard, so it kind of freaked me out. Sorry about that. Anyway, okay, back to our regularly scheduled program. So we're going to create a table that's a full page, and when I select this, you'll see what happens is it pops me into this new view. It just drops me right into the page. And the name of the page here, or where it says untitled, the name of the database, that's kind of how we're going to actually reference this data throughout Notion. So what I usually do when I'm designing systems and doing this is I think about the different types of data or tables that I'm going to need to use. And we're going to link a lot of these together to be able to view them and view the data in different ways. So since this is a document kind of management system, the first obvious one we want to use is documents. So we'll just go ahead and select that. Heard that loud and clear on stream. Yeah, that would kind of freak me out because my kids are asleep and my wife is in the basement. So when I hear a bang like that, I have no idea. I had no idea what happened. So anyway, documents. Let's go ahead and delete some of these basic entries we have here because we don't need them quite yet. And let's see what we got here. So whenever you create a table for the first time, it gives you two fields by default. There's name and then tag. So if I create a new object here, name is just like the title of the page. And then tags is actually a multi-select. So what you can do with a multi-select field is you can come in here and say, this is a tag, hit enter, another tag, hit enter, and it kind of displays it in a way like this. Now, instinctually, what you might want to do is just kind of utilize these tags here. But what we're going to do instead is we're going to create another database, and we're actually going to create a tags database. And what this will let us do, in the context of a document system, is not super powerful, but if you wanted to create different types of data through your Notion system, you can use one master tag list, and you can link these tags to pretty much any type of data within Notion, which is pretty cool. Hey Arpan, how you doing tonight? Hope the day treated you well. I'm not even sure where you're at. You're somewhere. I know earlier we were talking, it was nighttime, so I'm guessing it's got to be morning for you. Anyway, thanks for joining. So anyway, again, we're not going to use this. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete this. And then we're going to back up into the backend page, and we're going to create another, and we're going to create another table here. So I'll use the slash command again. I'm going to start typing in table, and you can see it filters out our list here. So we'll create another full page table. Let's name this one tags. I can delete this tags field here, and we're actually not going to add anything else to this table. All we really need is a name. So this is where you would add, like, being a software developer, I work a lot with JavaScript, so one of my tags that I use a lot in my own system is JavaScript. So we'll hit enter there, and then let's see, what other ones can we add in here? Let's use Node.js just to be a little more specific, and then I'm going to create one called C# because that's another language that I work with on a pretty regular basis. Our pan says he just woke up. Hey, got that right. All right, so now one of the other cool things that you can do with these is if we open one of these up, we can add icons to the pages, and this doesn't help necessarily with the way the data is structured, but if you add an icon, it actually gives a nice visual pop to your documents table, which you'll see once we link that in. So if I select add icon, it gives you a default icon that there's there, and these are all going to be emojis that are kind of standard. But what you can also do, if you click the icon, you can select upload an image, and I've got a couple of pre-selected icons that I've kind of built here. I actually use these inside of my own. So we'll come in here. Turns out I actually don't have a JavaScript icon. We'll just pick this guy here. This is a node icon, but we'll use it as a placeholder for the time being since I don't have one. It's a little fuzzy. The quality's not that great, but it doesn't really matter because it's going to be small where we're at too. So we'll back up. We'll go into node. We'll do the same thing here. Select an image. We'll actually select the one that says node, so it kind of differentiates it a little bit. And then our last tag that we're going to add an icon here for is C#. So I'll select that guy there. And one thing you might notice inside of the tags is on the left-hand side, that icon now shows next to the actual tag itself. Okay, so let's back up here and answer a couple questions I got here. Brad's cursing on my stream. Yeah, I really don't care. Curse away, man. Just woke up. So I do have a table for just tags, and when I'm done building the document management system, I will I'll demonstrate another way in which that could be useful, like if you wanted to tag other things within your Notion system. Okay, so Brad also says, and can you use those tags to tag entries in our table? Yep, exactly. That's exactly why I like having a single table for tags. I'll also create one for categories too. So actually, let's go ahead and do that right now. So let's go ahead and create another table. We'll do a table full page, and we'll say categories. And let's see, one category we could do software development, so we'll just do development. Development, if I could spell. Create another one. Let's see, how about business? Business is kind of a good thing. And let's see, what's a third one we can do? Finances, why not? We'll probably won't use some of these categories, but I know I'm not going to use the finances one, so I'm not even going to bother getting an icon to that. But same thing, we'll give these guys some icons here. I've got one there for Cody, very Cody looking icon. And I should have a couple of business icons in here too. So let's select another icon for that. Let's see, how about a nice building? Building always kind of relates to business. Brad asks, what's the benefit of a separate table for those instead of columns inside of your documents table? Here's the thing. These will actually be columns inside of our documents table, and that's what we're going to get to next. So if I could head over back into backend, we're going to open documents back up. And now here's where kind of the real magic happens. We're linking all this stuff together. So if I come in here and I click plus, anywhere inside of this table, if you see this plus, this gives you the option to create another column within your table. So if I click on my column after it's been created and I go under property type, you can see there's a bunch of different properties that you can add in here. Some of the basic ones are text, number, select, multi-select, so on and so forth. And these different fields are all kind of isolated within the table itself. But if you scroll down to advanced, there's this guy here named relation. And this is where linking tables within Notion becomes very powerful. So if I select relation, I'm presented with another dialog here, and I can select a database here. So inside of this, let's make this be our tag. So I'll hit tags, and we'll select tags, which is our backend or our tags table we just created, and create that relationship. I'm going to rename this to tags. And now an example of something I actually have inside of my own document management system. Let's see here, JSON to CSV, here's one. So what I like to do is I like to create code snippets and I store them inside of here, just so I have quick access to them, because you can search through all this data too, and it makes it a lot easier to find this stuff. So let's see, this is how to use JSON to CSV is a library that I've used to do some of that stuff. And then inside of this, so you have your different fields up top here where you can actually link things together or add different properties to this. But the other thing down below, this is where kind of the body, the main content of the actual page is. So if I come in here, you can use Markdown inside of this if you're familiar with Markdown. There are two ways you can do. You can actually select the code block. If you select these little 6 dots here and go turn into, there's an option here for code. But if you are familiar with Markdown, which I am, you can use the triple backtick and it automatically creates a block for you. So I'll come in here and I'll just kind of like just paste some code in here just as a demonstration. Paste in here, you can see it automatically does syntax highlighting for JavaScript is kind of the default because everyone uses JavaScript. But you can drop this down. You can see there's tons of different highlighting, I guess, languages you can use. Tons of different languages you can use to highlight. So like C# was one of mine. If I put some C# code inside one of these documents, I can select that and it would syntax highlight that code for C# instead of JavaScript, because the syntax is a little bit different. Okay, so this is pretty good so far. We don't really need to add an icon to here, but now one of the things that I was kind of talking about earlier was linking tags back into the table itself. Is if I click this, you can see it actually lists out all of my individual entries inside of my tags database. So I can select JavaScript right there. Okay, so now this is tagged with JavaScript. There's one more field. Well, we're gonna add a couple more fields, so I'll just keep on rolling with this. So now if I back up here, you can see inside of my overall view, I have a JavaScript icon here. So if you can imagine, I can actually real quick, because there's not any real hardcore information here. This is an example of my actual documents database. It's not super polished. There's definitely work that can be done here, but you can see I have document type, I have tags, categories. We're going to add all this stuff as it goes. So if I'm inside of here, I can quickly scroll down and see like all of my, here's a JavaScript one, here's a JavaScript one, here's a couple JavaScript articles or whatever that I've added inside of here. So that's where that linking becomes really powerful. So back inside here, let's see, what else? We also want to add categories. Since this is a development related article, we'll select this, we'll say category, and same thing, come in here, we'll add that relation here, search for categories, and we'll select that database and create the relation, and then same thing inside of here. You can actually update all the fields from the table view itself too, so it's not like you have to actually open the page to edit the document itself. If I click on that, I could select development, and boom, now I have development. Brad says, that's what I was missing, understanding a Notion. Dude, I know. This was like, when I finally understood how to do this, it was like, my mind opened up. Like, we were chatting on the Learn, Build, Teach. I think that's James' server, Learn, Build, Teach. We were chatting on there the other day about like one system to kind of rule them all, right? It's like kind of a Lord of the Rings reference. Like, I've been looking for that for so long. And this Notion is like 99% there. The last 1% is that API, which I'm hoping they come out with very soon, because that's going to let me do all sorts of cool, crazy stuff with it. And I can't wait for that. And I don't want to try and use a hack together API library. It's not that big of a deal. Like, my system that I built works well enough to where I don't really need it, but I'm looking forward to that. So the other thing, as you notice inside of my actual Notion setup, is I also have a document type in here. And so we're going to that's actually a select field. I don't need to relate that to anything else. So I'll come in here, I'll say document type, and we'll leave that like that. And I didn't actually add any options in here, but you can add that right in line. So if I select this under document type, we'll say like how to would be like the type of article or document that I'm creating here. So I'll select that. And this gives another way for me to be able to view that. And then the other thing, which I haven't added to mine, but I want to, is a bookmarked. And we're going to use bookmarked later on when we create a filtered view of this table, when we favorite it, because that's going to give us like quick access to all of our bookmarked documents, like things we use on a fairly regular basis. So we'll leave that there. And another quick demonstration, you can check and uncheck this just like you can with the other fields inside of here. So everything that you can do inside of the document itself with all these properties, you can do from right here. Okay, so that's cool that we have something like this, but what if you wanted to do something a little more advanced? That's kind of where templates really come into play. So a template inside of Notion is a way for you to define not only pre-populated fields like these, the tags and categories and document type, but you can also pre-populate the body of the document. So in one of the document types, I guess I can have is like kind of like a business process or a standard operating procedure, SOP as they call it. That is one of the document types that I have, but I don't want to go in and like populate all the fields every single time that, or like, you know, manually fill the document out every single time I want to create a new process, because I kind of have an idea of what I want to put in there. And we're going to go pretty professional with this. I don't quite use all of these fields, or I guess structure, but it's good to see. It kind of gets the point across. So instead, you can click down here under new, or you can actually drop down this guy here. And if you click new, it just creates a page. But if you click this little arrow down here, it shows you the templates that are available for this specific database. And templates are built per database. So you can create, I don't know if there's a limit. I actually don't know if there's a limit on the number of, I'm not going to bother looking into that. Not yet, at least. I will at some point. I don't know if there's a limit, but you probably don't need too many. So what we're actually going to do now is we're going to build a template for that business process or standard operating procedure. So I'll click on new template, and you'll see inside of on the top here, it says you're editing a template inside of documents, just so this way it kind of gives you a good visual representation that you are not actually editing a document. This is a template. Okay. So in here, we'll do like business process is the name of the template. It's not hold on. Sometimes I can't spell and talk at the same time. This is the name of the template specifically. This isn't the name of the document itself or the entry into the database. But we do know the document type is going to be business process. So that is one field that we are going to pre-populate. And the other thing, which I like to do, is pre-populate the icon, because that also gives you a nice visual on your article or on your documents themselves. So I'm going to select add icon, and we're going to upload another image here. Let's back up here, and I've got like this red looking document here. Is pretty cool. So let's select that guy. And the other thing I'm actually going to do is, because this is red, I like these colors to semi-match. So I'm going to change the color of my document type to red as well, just so those, you know, I don't know, call me anal or, I don't know, ADHD. I don't even know what the right term is for it. But anyway, and now down here in the body of the document, you can start creating your outline of what you want to populate, or yeah, I guess the sections of your document. So what we'll do here, same thing. You can type in, say like executive summary. Let's see, what else do we want here? I think I spelled summary right. Yeah, we also want prerequisites. And then in order to switch these types, you can click on these little three dots, click turn into, and then it gives you the different options. So we'll select that to be heading 1. But the other thing, since if you're familiar with Markdown, you can do the hashtag and then space, and that'll also convert it into a heading as well. So I'm going to keep doing that. We've got procedure, which is the actual meat of the document. We're going to have definitions, which could be terms. So like if you've ever worked with in a real high-tech environment, like I have a background, I do a lot. I've been doing software development for pretty much, I don't know, as far back as I can remember. However, it's always been part of a dual kind of responsibility. So I also have a background in IT operations and systems engineering, and I've worked a lot with these types of documents, and I've had to create templates and do things myself with them. So definitions, and so that's where you'd be like, if you have a technical definition about a specific system, that's where that would go. And then we're also going to do revision history, and this one's going to be pretty cool. All right, but we'll leave that like that. And then what I like to do if I'm populating these guys out is I will also add another line down below here, and I add kind of just instructions on. Executive summary is pretty straightforward, so I don't really need to do that. But we'll also say like what needs to be done before you can do this process. Execute this process. Very professional. And then I'll also like Control I to make sure that goes italics. We can also, let's see, let's change the color and choose kind of a light gray so it kind of fades into the background just a little bit. Let's see, Brad says Notion needs better colors. Yeah, I kind of agree. The pastel colors, I wish there's a plugin out there for, it's not really a plugin, it's kind of it's really more or less a hack into the Electron system for the desktop app called Notion Enhancer, which lets you tweak the colors and stuff. But I didn't have any good luck with it, so I don't know that I recommend it, but there are ways around it. It's all just CSS. He also says, man, you structured this so professionally. Yeah, I came from this world. Lucky Boy Sunday, what's going on, man? Off topic, do you know Jira as well as Notion? To some degree. We use Jira at work, but I don't use it in any large capacity. I used to know Jira, the old version of Jira, before they went to the cloud and made the new templates, and I'm not a huge fan of the new system. I liked being able to get into all the nitty gritty. Excuse me one sec. Gotta get a sip of water there. Lucky Boy, why do you ask? Out of curiosity. If you can go ahead and drop that in there, I'll answer it when I see it. All right, so procedure. Let's do the process, I guess, is a good one. I don't know. Those step-by-step instructions. And then you can also, like, well, same thing, we'll do highlight, and let's change this color to something like, do that light gray again, and let's see, I won't bother. You kind of get the gist of what I'm trying to do here. But for the process, you can also do, you can pre-populate some of these guys out. So we'll do like 1, 2, 3, so people get kind of an idea of what needs to be done there. Definitions, you can use the hyphen, and then a space will turn it into a bulleted list. You got to put a couple spaces there so it doesn't actually get rid of your bullets when you drop down. But revision history is the fun part. What I got for revision history is actually you can create databases within databases, which is kind of cool. And especially if you create a database within a template and you pre-populate that database with stuff, it shows up on every single template, every single entry in your master database, I guess, if you will, with all that information as well. So if I use a slash and I create, let's create another table. But we're going to do, instead of a full page, we're going to do inline. If you select inline, what it'll do is it will drop it right into the, I guess, the main bulk of it. And we can actually probably get rid of this header and just say for the name of our table, revision history. So this isn't actually a table that you would, yeah, you could. I mean, it's not like you can't, but I don't know that I would really reference this from anywhere outside of the system. But this is kind of like isolated into itself, if that makes sense. If that doesn't, let me know and I can try and explain it better. But we can also add different types of fields here. So like if revision history for the document, what are some things that you normally would have? We would have like the author, the date, the description, like what was doing. The name, I don't know that you can change. I guess you can. So yeah, we'll rename that to description. We're going to get rid of this tags table, or this tags field, because we don't really need that anymore. And then let's go ahead and add author. Now, I'm going to actually select from our basic types. I'm going to say person, because you can actually tag people within your Notion system, and then it kind of, if you have like a profile picture, it'll show up next to it, so you'll see what I'm talking about. So we'll select author, or we'll select person for that field type. We're actually going to drag this over to the left so it looks a little nicer. We'll click on this again, and we'll add date, and we're going to change the property type to date. And then we're going to add reviewer. And normally I would choose person for this, but because I am the only person inside of my Notion, it's going to look a little funky if I'm the only one, you know, since I can't really tag myself twice. I guess I can, but anyway, we'll just leave this as a text. So let's see here. I'm going to open this up more. And let's see, that probably is pretty good. So let's back up, actually. Let's go back again. So we're back to our main page, but if I press this arrow again, you can see here's my business process template that we just created. Now, if I select this, watch what happens. It didn't happen that time. I don't know why it didn't happen. Let's try that again. Let's get rid of this. Drop down. Notion's been having some funkiness lately. I don't know what's going on. Doesn't seem to want to do that. But now, another way. Oh, here we go. It finally kicked in. While we're waiting for this to kind of generate, Lucky Boy says, just promoted to team lead, and I would be much more involved in creating backlogs, epics, stories, etc. I tend to use Notion to organize my own work and like to keep things clean. Funny you mentioned that, because I haven't been promoted, but again, we use Notion at work, or we use Jira at work, and I use Notion here. So I use Notion to manage all my personal tasks. I follow the GTD methodology I have for a long time, and I'm kind of starting to move away from that, but like my individual deliverable tasks I will keep track of within my Notion system, whereas like the higher level milestones and projects and stuff, that's where my company is really interested in seeing, so I don't necessarily have to get into doing all the fine-grained detail with inside of Jira, or yeah, with inside of Jira. Lucky Boy also says, but after spending some time in our Jira, it's a mess. Okay. I don't know that the stream is probably not the best way to do this, but if you want to either ping me inside of Discord, or I'm assuming, I guess, if you came from Discord, you can always DM me or tag me. If not, if you're not in Discord, fullstack.chat is the URL is kind of a landing page to my Discord. Join up there. We've got a couple developers, a bunch of us chat on a daily basis, so it's definitely, if you need help or anything, I'd be more than happy to help. Okay, so we've got our template has been populated here, and you see if I scroll down, here's everything that we put inside of our template has now been added inside of this page. So for the business process, let's do one of the things that I try and do on a regular basis is a weekly review. So we'll say weekly review, and let's bookmark that. So we'll see that inside of the view. Categories, let's change that to business, and tags. So we need to tag this with anything? Probably not. We'll leave that be. So we can come in here and say, like, there's an executive review. Here's, these couple things need to be done ahead of time. You can think process. You can add in pictures and stuff too. So like if I come in here and I had a page open earlier. Do I have a picture that I can do somewhere? Let's just do like business process. How about workflow diagram? Since we're going like straight up business in here, let's go right for it. Everybody likes their workflow diagrams and charts and all sorts of stuff. So we'll right click this, copy image. Let's head back in here and let's go ahead and just paste that guy in there. So there's images. This is one of the things I really like about Notion is you can structure your data really well, or you can get real freeform with it. It's very flexible both ways. So just by pasting an image in here, now that image is inside of Notion, which is pretty cool. Definitions we don't really need to populate in, but we're going to look at this revision history here real quick. So if I select new, you can see it's a description. So let's say like initial document would be that one. The author, I can drop this, I can select this, and you can see anyone who's a member of your Notion workspace will be populated here. So since I'm the only person, I can select that. I'm the author. The date can be today. And then the reviewer would be like, I don't know, Bob. Bob is the reviewer. Why can't Bob be the reviewer? Okay, so then this lets you actually see a quick, like, hey, what did I do on that specific day? This is kind of more, this is really just kind of adhere to how normal SOPs are designed, but you can actually also, if you have, depending on the, I guess, tier of your Notion workspace, if you have at least the first paid tier, you can scroll down here and you can actually see the different revisions to your pages as well, which is really cool. I can't really demonstrate that because I don't have, oh, here we go, page history. It's not available. I don't know that this workspace is going to work. Yeah, see, it doesn't work. Usually you can come in here, you can actually step through the history of your Notion pages, and I've actually caught myself, like I've accidentally deleted stuff off of pages, and I'm able to restore it by coming in here and looking through the history of the page itself, which is pretty neat. Okay, so the last thing I really kind of want to demonstrate, well, I guess there are two more things I want to demonstrate. The first one is search. So I'm not going to bother doing it inside of here because there's not enough articles here, I guess, but we'll bring my Notion back up. This is my actual setup. There are a couple different ways you can search. There's a search icon right on the database itself. So if I select this and I say weekly review, you can see, maybe not, weekly review, there we go. So it shows, now it filters it down to my weekly review. And then the other way you can do it, which I can do with inside of here, is anywhere inside of Notion, if you hold Control or Command on the Mac and hit P, it brings up this nice search, and this will search your entire Notion workspace. So I can also type in like how to, and it'll bring that guy up. Depending on how large your Notion workspace is, this sometimes takes a couple of seconds to kind of find it, but I've noticed it's pretty good about, like, if you know you're working on a project. Like me personally, I'm actively tracking, I think, like 20 projects right now that I'm working on. So instead of having to like navigate through my system and find the actual project page that I want to open up to work on, I can just Control P and find it pretty quickly that way. So that's a very, very useful tip. And then I also wanted to, like I said earlier, I use Backend for all of my databases and where I store stuff. And then the one page that I usually will come in here and add as well is my dashboards. So we're going to create a page now. So I use / and typed in page. We'll select that. And then I'm going to type in dashboards here. And this is not going to be a table. This is going to be an empty icon, or no, not empty with icon. Let's remove the icon. See, Brad says, show us why linking those tags and categories is better than select. Oh, yeah. Well, I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me, and I will get there. So inside of dashboards, we'll create a new, let's see, favorite. Let's create a new page inside of here. and favorites. I guess bookmark. Let's say bookmarked. Bookmark documents. Let's come in here. So this is just going to be an empty page, but what we're going to do is we're actually going to do create what's called a linked database. And what a linked database is it's a completely separate view of your data that you can add your own sorting and filtering to without affecting your original database. So /create link database is the command you want to enter after that. And if I select this, you'll see it's going to give me the option to search for my database. So we'll select documents, and then you can see it's just showing us the default view of everything. But if I select this guy, I can come in here and I can filter it, and we'll say I want to add a filter to this, and I want to see everything where bookmarked is checked. So these are all of our bookmarked documents here. But say I don't like all these fields scrolling off the side of the page, right? Like I don't need to see all that stuff. So we can hide some of these fields in here as well. There are two ways that you can hide fields inside of databases. A linked database is just a database itself, so it works largely the same. Any changes to the fields you make in the linked database will also affect the original one. Now, the two different ways you can hide this is like I can click on this, and it either gives you the option to hide here, or if you select these three dots here and select properties, it shows you all the properties that are available inside of all the different fields that are available inside of your database, and you can just uncheck them. Now this still looks kind of funky, like maybe we don't need to view it in like a tabular way, but we can actually experiment with different kinds of views as well. So if I select add a view, there's a bunch of different view types that you can add to like kind of view your data in different ways. And list kind of is the one that pops up to me as the way that I'd like to see this. So if I select list and click create, you'll see it looks a little bit cleaner, right? We have to re-add our filtering back in here. So same thing, I'm going to come back in filter. We're going to add another filter, change bookmarked, and we'll set that to that. Maybe we do want to see some of this information here. So if I wanted to see like the tags that are associated with this, or the categories I guess we'll say are associated with this specific article, I can select the three dots there, click properties, and select categories. And now my categories are viewed there. If you want to reorder these, you can go into properties and you could just drag these guys around. So say I'll drag category above document type, and now my fields on the right-hand side are reordered. Brad says, and Superpower, I didn't know. Diamond's making fun of my light. What's up, Diamond? Thanks for joining, man. Couldn't you create another bookmarks view for that? If you could explain a little more, I'm not sure I quite understand the question. I'll move on to the previous statement that you mentioned, though, about viewing the actual, or why viewing the, what am I trying to say? Why creating the link tags is better. There are two, I guess, ways that I would approach this. The first one I would do is come in here. I'm going to hide this because every time that you create a relation, it creates another field here for you to like see everything that's linked together. If you have a lot of JavaScript articles, it's going to get crazy. So we're going to hide this right off the bat. But what I can also do is if we create a template inside of here and say like a default tag template, and let's add a table inside of here. So if I add a create link database, this is why I like doing the tags in separate tables. So if I create a link database here, and we'll say we want to show all documents, and then I will say we can leave this as a table view, but I want to filter, and this gets pretty cool. So if I filter it where the tags contains the default tag template. Now this is kind of one of those hidden, call them superpowers, Brad. This is one of those hidden superpowers. So if you're creating a template and you create a link database inside of that template, if you set whatever relation field you're using, so in this case we're using tags, and if we say it contains the default tag template, Notion is actually smart enough to where when you create this template or apply it to an existing page, it's going to filter that view based on whatever that relation is. So even though I select the default tag template here, what you'll see is if I go, let's just go ahead and back up and we'll leave that as is. If I go inside of JavaScript, which is where we created one of ours, and I select the default tag template, when it generates the body of the page, what you'll see is it automatically filters it down to the JavaScript page or tag instead of the default tag template. And if I go to filter, you can actually see it's already populated that data. So it's smart enough to do that, which is one cool way to do it. But Brad, you also mentioned why, I'm all over myself today. So let's say we want to come in here and we want to create, let's think of another data type that we can add. Let me look through my own setup, and I want to see what else we can add here, and I'll kind of demonstrate why I like tags in different spots. Bear with me for 1 second. Okay, so here we go. I got one. So, okay, so I'm a content creator. Obviously, I'm streaming right now. So one of the things that I manage my entire content creation process, the first 95% of it all within Notion, right? So I have the concept inside of Notion of a content, or I guess an artifact, content. What do I have them named? Hold on a second. I'll find out what the actual name is. And I'm going to go through my, content management system at one point. So I have content item is what I have called. So we're going to create another database here. So content item. Let me get through creating this actual table here, and then I will answer more questions. Create the table, and we'll create a full page, and we'll say content item. There we go. And now what I can do is I can come in here, I can delete this and say how, like one of my articles could be like how to link JavaScript in HTML, right? Like that could be an article that I'd read from my website. If I wanted to be able to, since I created tags in its own separate system without being tied into the table itself, what I can do is I can create a relation to this guy too. So if I wanted to see all my articles that were related to JavaScript, I can see those inside of the tags page as well. So I'll create that relation, we'll name that tags, and then let's come inside here and select JavaScript. Now back inside tags, let's just open JavaScript and we'll create another linked table. Or I guess, you know what, here's a better way. Let's delete this guy. And we're gonna edit the template. And let's say I have documents there, and let's also create another linked database up under here. And let's go content items, and we'll see all our content items, but I want to filter this. Same thing we did with the documents themselves. We'll add a filter. We'll say where the tags contains default tag template, which is the name of our template here. And let's back up here. Now inside of JavaScript again, let's reapply that same. You can't apply a template, or if you can, I don't know how to. You can't reapply a template after you've already applied one, but if you wipe out all the content of the page, like we didn't really have anything we wanted to save inside the page, any changes, so we just delete everything and we could start over. If I click on default tag template to apply this template back into my page, you'll see not only am I seeing the documents that are related, but I can also see the actual content items like articles, videos, things like that are related to JavaScript. So that's the reason why I like having my tags and categories in their own separate tables as opposed to being consolidated inside of a table, because it gives you different ways to create relations within your Notion workspace. Let's see. Coning you, I think that's the name. Hey Brian, thanks for the live streams. Video I needed. Hey, perfect. Hope you learned something. If you have any questions, feel free to ping me on Discord. Again, I'll repeat this. Fullstack.chat is the URL to get to my Discord. If you're not already in the Notion, the unofficial Notion Discord, I'm there too. Brad says, okay, now you can go either way. Related doc. Yep, there you go. You got that. So that's why I like doing that. But we're back to dashboards we were creating here. The last thing I completely forgot to do is if I know that Bookmark Documents is kind of a view that I want to see and have quick access to on a regular basis, usually if it's a dashboard that I'm creating, I'll also give it an icon. I like using icons within Notion because they make pages pop and give you like anything I can do to work my system faster. If I can quickly see what I'm trying to get at, I'll take the extra effort to add whatever information or images in there I need to. So like, let's come in here. Do I have an image for a dashboard somewhere? Business. Here you go. Some charts. Charts are kind of dashboardy, right? Let's see here. I don't have like an actual dashboard icon. That's okay. Yeah, we'll just use let's just use this guy here. This looks very kind of dashboardy, I suppose. So what then I can do here is if you click this favorite in the upper right hand corner, notice what happens on the left in the navigation. So I don't have any kind of like headers up on top of my pages, but as soon as I click on this, I have a favorites up top, and then I have a private space down below. And there's actually, if you share pages out with someone else who uses Notion, there'll be a third section here that will show what pages and within your Notion that you have shared. Babcack, you made it. What's going on, man? Hope you're having a good night. So yeah, that's kind of the stream. I hope you learned something tonight. This is, I mean, I breezed through this pretty quickly. Obviously, I mean, the main kind of takeaway from here is how to create databases, how to structure your data, and how to like link things together and get different cool views. Again, repeating something I said earlier in the stream, just in case someone didn't get it. Whenever I'm trying to work within Notion, I always start, I try and decouple my views from my data. Think of them as two separate things. You have your data where you actually want to store the information, and this can be kind of inside of these tables here. Like, I don't really care what some of this stuff looks like. Documents is probably the one exception to that rule, because I do like the table view inside of documents. So what I usually do is let's just come in here. Let's add this guy, give this guy an icon, whatever, that icon, and I'll favorite that. So that's pinged up to the top now. And then I can minimize this back end, and I don't have to worry about whatever's in here. But yeah, Brad says link databases are key. They really are. I mean, that's kind of like when I figured out how to link databases and do all this stuff, this was a total game changer for me. I don't like using that game changer term because I feel like it's overused in the business world. But the game has changed. Little Tron reference there if anybody didn't catch that. Anyway, so again, that is the stream. I would like to thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate your time out of your evening. If you're interested in more content like this, more Notion stuff is coming soon. I'm actually getting ready to start building a Notion course that I plan to release. I do a lot of live coding streams where I'm demonstrating different various topics. I usually stream every Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Central. That's the best place to find me. If you liked this video, do me a favor, give it a like, give me a sub, all that normal YouTube. Oh, wait, hold on a second. I have to, by law, request you to smash the like button. I think that's the right term. Smash is the right term. Do whatever you want with the like button. Just press it for me, please. But yeah, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. I'm Brian Dev on Twitter. Any updates to the stream are all going to happen there. Yeah, but thanks again for joining me, and have a great night. Bye-bye.